Well, many of you know, owning a Jeep, a constant evolution. It's always changing, things get different. So as I've added stuff to the roof, to the back, I've lost my rear view. So today we're going to turn this to this. Using this. I need to find a suitable location for this camera. I think, right up in here. That should work. Somewhere up in here, and we'll have to bend them and get them aimed properly, but that'll do. I need to extend this camera cable. So I got some supplies. I'm just going to extend the video cable with this old speaker wire, actually. That's going to do the trick. It was just some stuff I had laying around. I'm also going to extend the power cable. And that I bought, it was just a couple of bucks, actually, for that. Now, all my connections that I make, I'm going to have to seal them up. They're going to be on the exterior. So I've got some heat shrink I'm going to use. And then we're going to do it two different ways with some of the heat shrink today. I'm going to use my heat gun and this holder to help hold stuff in place after I do some soldering and stuff too. But you know, you don't need that stuff. There are other ways to do it. There's some clamps I'm going to use, some common clamps, real cheap stuff that you can get, and really just a household lighter will get it done. You can use either this or this. Now, before I finalize these connections, what I'm actually going to do is put some of this battery terminal protector that you can get at any automotive store to these actual connections on here, so it prevents any kind of corrosion or dirt or anything getting in there. It also helps waterproof it beyond just putting the heat shrink on there. And that's really going to help it last longer. Now that I've made that connection, I did actually use a little electrical tape and help seal it again, just extra added layer of protection, because it will be outside in the environment. So I went ahead and covered that as well. Now I'm going to take this wire and run it inside of this wire housing, and then I'll have to route the whole thing down my roof rack. Being the soft top, I don't have to drill any holes. I got a corner I can run it through and it won't cause any problems. And I should have plenty here to get me to the interior. We can make our connections there. This shielding on, and I just use a little more electrical tape, just kind of seal it up. And when it gets up to the top there, I'm actually going to fasten it with just some zip ties to hold it in place. And I have the portion that I need covered. So what I'm going to do now is actually go and mount this camera. And what I did was made a bracket. They didn't really make a bracket. It was a cheap one I had bought, had for another project. I just put some holes in there, riveted it on there. I'm probably going to, as you can see, it's a little sloppy with some paint. I'm going to touch that up again too when all is said and done, so it doesn't look too terribly bad. And then I'm just going to route that cable along here, down my roof rack, and most likely down in through that corner down there. Riveted in place. I've run the cable along there. I've, of course, got some other accessories as well. And still got to clean it all up, cut off our zip tie ends and all of that. But the cable came down. I'll straighten it out a little bit. It comes down. Just run it through this back corner of this window right here. I have some lights on top that I did the same thing with. I've never once gotten water in there from it. So we'll take care of that in a little bit. So on the inside here, you can see back in that corner where it comes through, I tucked it in behind this carpet. Ran it all the way down along here. Don't mind the mess, I still got to vacuum this thing out from this project. Anyway, I've got it tucked down in here. What I'm actually going to do is I removed that door by the seat belt right here, and I'm gonna mount the transmitter, this piece, right to it. It just gets held on with a couple of zip ties there, and it'll be easy to remove then if I ever need to. All I gotta do is pull that panel and do whatever needs to be done. So what I'm going to do now is since I got all this stuff ready to go, is I'm actually going to attach this real simple. I didn't want to tap into the wiring in any way, shape, or form. I had already added this outlet accessory, so this was super cheap. I think it was less than $3 for this end. So what I'm going to do is just solder it to the power cable on the transmitter itself, and we'll use again some heat shrink on that and seal it up real good. Maybe tape it as well, and then should be good to go. We can hook that up, test it to make sure that works, and then we can work on the mounting for the tablet. Now before I solder these together, this is a very important step. You know, I want to put some heat shrink on. You have to install that before you put your wires together. I have a couple different things I'm doing with it. I'll show you when I'm done, but yeah, big step. There we go. Well, I need to remove that mirror, so it's easy enough to get off. You can see that on there, but there is a T25 Torx screw right there. So all we gotta do is loosen that and the mirror will pull right off. And boom, that easy. I bought this Archon mount. Well, this is the base for it right here, and what I'm gonna do is actually mount it up here in place of that rear view mirror. Now I'll be able to articulate it to wherever I need it to be. It's going to be a much larger screen. I think it'll be a lot better than the rear view mirror, but it has an adhesive back on it. But I think also it does have holes in there. I don't know if you can see them, holes for screws. I think I'm going to definitely screw that on there as well, because going down the road that might be too much weight for that adhesive alone, and we certainly don't want that falling off. So let's get that marked out and get her put up. Camera's up, wiring's in. I did end up not actually using zip ties on there. Got Velcro on there, that's even better. So as far as installation removal if necessary. Here's the completed installation of that. You're gonna see that up there, the mount. Had it fired up before, as you've seen, and the camera's working great, so we'll see how it does going down the road. It does have the capability of recording a couple different ways, and then every time I start it up though, I do need to turn that on and connect to the Wi-Fi. Every time I'm going to drive, you know, I do that initially for the day, and then if I have to restart it whenever. Otherwise I'll leave it on. I don't know how it's going to do with draining battery, but we'll see how she goes.